All right, welcome to Good Vibes. I can't help but laugh because the topic today is going to have every one of you listening. And Debbie Cox DeNova, our transformation coach, is with us. And the topic, I know you're wondering, what men and women really want. Wow. Good topic.
Thank you.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, first of all, we know that in general, when people are dating, they want to know what is the opposite sex looking for. But especially then after you get into a relationship, a lot of relationships will fall apart because there's a miscommunication about what a woman wants and what a man wants. So we're going to kind of uncover what the science talks about. In 2007, there was a study that showed that men in general are looking more for attractiveness in their partner. It matters to women as well, but they're more contextual than men are. Men are looking for attractiveness. And what's interesting is that in a German 2013 study, it was found that women are actually less selective about their mates when they judge themselves as less attractive. And this is especially true if they perceive that there's attractive competition around. So this goes to why attractiveness, both in the dating world, but also even after you're married, it actually matters on both ends of the spectrum. It's an attractive quality for men. It's also something that actually helps a woman to feel better within herself and to be a better partner.
So do women do this? Because men do. We'll see somebody with somebody and we'll go, and how did he ever get that?
Yeah.
Do women do that too?
Sometimes, yes,
Okay.
it depends. And I think that in general, we kind of understand overall what most men and what most women is. Obviously, it's nuanced. It depends on who you are, right?
Yeah.
But the most famous study was a 2007 study by someone named Richard Lippa, and he studied 119,733 men and 98,462 women to find out the top 3 traits that women and men are looking for in a mate. And for women, interestingly enough, out of 23 possible traits, these are the ones that were the most. Ready? Humor, intelligence, honesty, kindness, and values. All right. Now, you notice that none of that has to do with what we consider to be alpha traits, right?
Right.
Those all seem to be.
Right.
But good looks, it's worth noting. Good looks, facial attractiveness, and fitness were high up on the scale for women in general. And in general, one study showed that women are more comfortable with men who are taller, and men as well being taller than the woman. But interestingly, this study specifically kind of flew in the face of a lot of other studies because it showed money, social status, and prosperity down at the bottom of the list, where that actually seems to matter according to other studies to women. Specifically, is the man able to provide? And the reason for that
Go ahead.
is really primal. Right?
Yeah.
It's about women feeling secure and safe and contained from a biological perspective, whether you want children or not. Still on a primal level, women want to know, can I be taken care of? Can I relax? And on a man's end of things, he wants to feel needed, and he wants to feel like his masculinity is validated, that he is able to be successful within the relationship. And there's a lot of messaging in our day-to-day lives now that kind of flies in the face of this and kind of messes with the polarity. It creates women as believing they should be empowered and be able to do everything for themselves. And then it has men believing that their masculinity is somehow unevolved, which is just a bunch of bogus nonsense that actually ends up messing with the relationship between a man and a woman. And it actually harms us in terms of our hormones as well.
Let me guess what the men want in their women. Tell me if I'm close.
Sure.
One, they definitely looks,
Yes.
fun-loving, loyal, honesty, and non-flirtatious.
Yeah, that is all in there because on both for men and for women, knowing that you're going to be partnered with someone who, again, on a primal level, can be relied upon to take care of children, right? Because primally, we have our roles that we're better at. And this is not to take away from the fact that women can work nowadays, but we already know that hormonally, it definitely stresses us out more as women because we're not built the same, right? When your testosterone rises as a man, when you get things accomplished, that's actually just stress reducing for you. And for women, testosterone rises as well when things are accomplished and tasks are there. But that's not a stress reducing experience for us. So as women, we actually do need men quite a bit to help us to reduce our stress and to make us feel hormonally balanced. As we age, we need double, in order to fall in love too, for women, double the estrogen, and men double the testosterone. So if you are living in a world where it's actually being communicated to you as a man that it's not okay for you to show up in your masculine, that it's unevolved, that actually that reduces your testosterone and in the way that you operate.
I've had guys tell me they've gone on dates and the woman wouldn't let them open the door.
Yeah, that's
I
what
go,
I'm saying.
what?
It's this messaging that, and this is a misconception that women have, is that men don't want us to work, or we want to see us successful. But Alison Armstrong, who's one of my favorite dating coaches, says it's not, you poll the men are very happy for women who can make money and do their thing. It's the messaging that tends to come along with that, which is that we can do it all and therefore we don't need you. A man needs to feel needed. That is an actual primal need. Again, it messes with lowers your testosterone, which is not just a psychologically distressing thing, but it can actually be physically distressing as well, and can lead to making you more prone for heart disease and depression and all sorts of conditions actually that are easily prevented just by keeping us in our natural state.
All right, let me tease the second segment.
Sure.
One of the questions we always get is, God, we've been doing so great until we got married. Then she shut me off.
Yes.
I'm telling you, 80% of the people I know that got married, it always comes back in conversation. The man goes, man, I don't know what happened, but after we got married, she sort of disappeared on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, 80 might be an exaggeration. 75%. Okay. What's the deal?
Yeah. So, John Gray says that one of the things that he has learned about men who want to leave their marriages, and he's talked to a lot of couples that way and saved a lot of marriages. One of the things that men complain about the most is, no matter what I do, I cannot make her happy. I've tried everything and it just seems like a losing game. And what women need to understand is that if men are playing at a losing game, they're going to stop playing. And so what happens is that women are taught to complain and criticize and be demanding when their needs are not being met. Now, again, we talked about, for a man, it's very important that he is meeting needs. That's an actual, that's what he wants.
Yeah, is he doing the same thing he did when he was wooing her?
Right. So there's that. You want to make sure that you are still investing into your relationship and making sure that you're doing at least the amount of things that you were doing to get her attention in the first place, because we know that with sex, she needs a seductive plot, right? She needs to feel like there's this desire within her, and so the romance has to be there. But additionally, she needs to have her estrogen levels correct. John Gray says that when a woman's estrogen levels are very, very low, you can give her, a dozen roses and it will not actually create a good feeling of romance within her. And it's
about
just
2 dozen.
Right. And that's what men will do, is they'll try to do more, but it really is a function of her low estrogen level. Whereas if her estrogen levels are healthy, you can give her 1 rose and it'll brighten her up. You can give her a dozen roses, it'll brighten her up. It's the same amount because again, she's at a healthy state. So how do men help women to create a healthy estrogen level, especially when they're out there in the work world, again, rising their testosterone, they're lowering their estrogen levels. Women need to feel led. They need to feel connected to. They need to feel. So that's why women love to go to Zumba classes, and like they're connecting to the people. They're being led by an instructor. All of that raises estrogen levels. Being able to talk with their friends, to connect to kids, to pets, oxytocin rises. All of that reduces her stress. So if a man can understand that, and the other thing is that being understood. This is really important, guys. Being understood is a very estrogen raising experience for a woman. So we've talked about this a multitude of times. Men, you should be allowing her to talk 3 to 4 times as much as you, according to John Gray. So remember this on a date as well, because women will make the mistake of asking a man a lot of questions. Because in a woman's world, when we ask questions, you're supposed to ask questions back and we're supposed to be connecting, right? But what will happen is she'll ask questions and the man will just answer it, because men are very, very direct. So women, stop hinting around. If you want something, if you need something, it's very important to give him the rules of the game. game so that he can win. Because in winning, his testosterone rises and his devotion level to you increases as well. John Gray says he has never met a man who wants to leave a woman who's having plenty of orgasms, because that's the height of satisfaction and happiness. He's making her happy. That's a feather in his hat. And when he's making her happy, that's also a feather in her hat. It's all about the women's satisfaction, right?
Yeah, we were having a conversation the other day, me and a group of my buddies, and we were talking about, I had this date one time. I said, well, where would you like to go eat? She said, you pick. I said, well, how about Copeland? I'd rather not go to Copeland. How about Outback? Not big on that. How about Olive Garden? No. Finally, after a little of this shit, how about Copeland's? My first pick.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that just born?
So and so this is another thing that women need to learn, is that if you have something that you would like to do, it's important to communicate that you would love to do something to make him feel successful. Maybe give him 3 options. So if he's asking you, what do you want to do? Don't just pitch it back to him. What do you want to do? Give him 3 options. Well, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, and then let him plan the rest of it. Because if he plans a date that makes you feel good, and make sure you're communicating when it feels good, then he feels like he's just won the game. Like, it feels really good to him. It feels good to you. Really important to communicate. Men need to feel needed. Okay. So women, if you're thinking this in conversation, John Gray says it's important to remember these 3 things. If you're thinking this, say it out loud to a man. When he makes a good point, say, that's a good point. All right. When he's right, say, you're right. When he has a good idea, that's a good idea. These are really testosterone boosting experiences for men. So don't cap that. If that's something authentically that you're feeling when a man is speaking, then say that. Men, as far as understanding women, these phrases will help you. Help me understand better. Okay, so again, remembering that women are supposed to be communicating 3 to 4 times more in order to feel connected and bonded to you. Help me understand better. Tell me more about that. What else, right? So really prompting a woman to continue to talk, and then, of course, responding by actually listening to her.
Well, say be prepared to listen.
Be prepared to listen. And the thing you can do, women, to help men, because they really are task-oriented, they want to help you solve problems. If you don't want them to solve a problem, let them know that you're venting, and then let them know that you appreciate that they are allowing you to vent. And then you might want to finish off by saying, it's really not that big of a deal. That helps a man sort of clear the cache, so he doesn't feel like he has to solve your problem for it. But if you want him to solve the problem, be direct and communicate that I would really like your help on this, and then take his advice. Don't ask him which dress you should wear, and then he says the white one and you pick the pink one. If you're asking for a man's advice, you don't want to dismiss his advice when he gives it. You want to take it, because that's a really important thing for his testosterone as well.
Yeah, just let him vent and watch 50 Shades of Grey. Everything will be okay.
Exactly. Validate his masculinity, and men, make sure that she feels contained, secure, she's able to relax and connect, and that she's understood by you.
I can't wait to see the topic for next week.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be waiting.
Me too.
All right, there you have it. Debbie Cox DeNova. We'll be back next week with good vibes.